Some of you been chasing people, chasing validation, chasing clout, chasing likes, and you still feel empty. You're still waking up tired, unfulfilled, stuck. You know why? Because you've been investing in everything except yourself. Self-mastery is the foundation of every breakthrough, every transformation, and every level up in life. It's not a buzzword or a motivational poster. It's the raw, unfiltered truth. When you master yourself, you unlock doors nobody else can open for you. Not your parents, not your friends, not your mentors. It starts and ends with you. And the moment you get that, truly get that, your whole life starts to shift. Most people are stuck because they haven't figured out how to manage the one thing they actually have control over themselves. They chase control over people, over situations, over outcomes, but none of that matters if you can't control your own mind, your thoughts, your reactions, your behavior, your consistency. Mastering yourself means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means doing what's right over what's easy. It means delaying pleasure for purpose. Look, everybody wants success. Everybody wants freedom. Everybody wants to live that dream life, but only a few people are willing to pay the price. And the price is discipline. The price is accountability. The price is waking up every day and saying, I'm not going to let my feelings decide my future. I'm not going to let distraction rob me of destiny. I'm not going to let comfort be the death of my calling. Self-mastery is waking up early when your body wants to sleep. It's studying when your mind wants to scroll. It's saying no to junk food, junk habits, junk relationship, so you can say yes to growth. Because the truth is, you can't master the external until you've mastered the internal. That's real. That's why you see people who seem to have it all still fall off. They never built themselves. They built a brand, a following, a business, but not character, not focus, not internal strength. You know how people say success leaves clues? That's true. But the biggest clue is this. Every person who made it to the top mastered their inner world before they mastered the outer. They trained their minds like athletes train their bodies. They didn't just want it, they became it. They didn't just talk about goals. They built systems, habits, and mental toughness that kept them on track, even when life hit hard. Because life will hit hard. That's guaranteed. The question is, can you stay focused when chaos shows up? Can you stay committed when emotions fluctuate? Can you keep showing up when motivation is gone? That's what separates the average from the elite. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not connections. It's self-mastery. And here's the part people don't want to hear. It takes time. It takes repetition. It takes a whole lot of quiet battles that no one sees. But every time you choose discipline over comfort, you build strength. Every time you stick to the plan when nobody's watching, you build integrity. And little by little, that version of you you're dreaming of becomes real. Not because you wish for it, but because you work for it. You start walking different, talking different, thinking different. People around you notice the shift, but they don't know about the nights you wrestle with self-doubt. They don't know about the mornings you got up when your body screamed no. But you know, and that's what matters. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop blaming and start building. You stop chasing and start attracting. Why? Because the moment you learn to lead yourself, you stop needing to be led. You don't wait on circumstances to change, you become the change. That's the power of self-mastery. It doesn't just open doors, it tears the hinges off and builds a brand new room. Energy is your most powerful currency, more valuable than time, more important than money. And the truth is simple, energy flows where attention goes. Whatever you give your focus to grows. Whatever you feed lives. And whatever you starve dies. That's the law, not a theory, not a maybe. It's how the universe operates. So if your life is full of chaos, confusion, distractions, and drama, you have to ask yourself, where's your attention been going? Most people don't lose because they're not talented. They don't lose because they're not smart or capable. They lose because their energy is split. They're all over the place, giving bits of themselves to things that don't move them forward. Scrolling for hours, chasing people who don't care, getting caught in opinions, gossip, and noise. Then they wonder why they feel drained, uninspired, stuck. It's because you've been investing your energy into things that give you no return. You got goals, but your attention is on people. You got dreams, but your focus is on distractions. You got potential, but your mind is constantly chasing validation. That doesn't add up. You can't build an empire while babysitting opinion. You can't master your craft while obsessing over comparison. Every second you spend focused on someone else's life is a second stolen from your own. That's robbery, but you're robbing yourself. You want to change your life? Change what you give your energy to. Start protecting your attention like your future depends on it. because it does. Every great person you've ever admired, every high achiever you've ever studied, had one thing in common: laser focus. They knew how to tune out the noise and lock in on the mission. They understood that success isn't just about doing more, it's about focusing on what matters more. And here's the part people miss. Your attention is always under attack. Social media, news, algorithms, they're designed to hijack your mind, to keep you scrolling, watching, reacting. Every ding on your phone is pulling you away from your purpose. And the more you give in, the weaker your focus becomes. That's how you end up busy but not productive, active but not effective, tired but not fulfilled. You can't afford to live like that. Not if you want to be great. Not if you want to build something that lasts. You need boundaries. You need discipline. You need to create an environment that feeds your growth, not your ego, that fuels your purpose, not your pain. And it starts by asking every single day, what am I giving my attention to? Because what you focus on, you feel. You focus on problems, you feel overwhelmed. You focus on gratitude, you feel blessed. You focus on setbacks, you feel defeated. You focus on solutions, you feel empowered. That's not magic, that's mindset. You don't need a new life, you need a new lens. Shift your attention and everything else shifts with it. Think about this. A magnifying glass can burn through paper when it focuses light into one point. The same light spread out does nothing. Your energy works the same way. When you scatter it, it's weak. When you concentrate it, it's weak. When you concentrate it, it's unstoppable. You want momentum? Then stop trying to do everything. Pick one thing and give it everything. Give it your time, your focus, your discipline, your heart. And don't just manage your energy, protect it. That means cutting off distractions. That means saying no to things that don't align with your vision. That means limiting access. Everybody shouldn't have a piece of you. Every situation doesn't deserve a reaction. Every invitation doesn't require a yes. You are not obligated to entertain what drains you. Your future is not built in big moments. It's built in small choices. Every day, every hour, every decision. Where your focus goes, your results follow. So guard your attention like your life depends on it, because it does. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. You become what you repeatedly do, not what you say you'll do, not what you post about, not what you dream of late at night. What you actually do day in and day out is what shapes you. That's the real story. That's what's being written behind the scenes when nobody's watching. Most people want change, but they're stuck repeating the same patterns. They want to be successful, but they live in cycles of procrastination. They want to be disciplined, but they keep hitting snooze. They want to be great, but they're addicted to average routine. You can't outdream your behavior. You can't outthink your habits. Your identity is forged in repetition. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you're becoming. Excellence is an act. It's not a one-time performance. It's a lifestyle. It's a system. It's what you do even when you're not in the mood. Champions aren't made in the spotlight. They're made in the shadows. They're made in the quiet, boring, disciplined moments where nobody claps and nobody sees. The workouts nobody tracks. The reps nobody counts. The sacrifices nobody praises. That's where transformation happens. You want to know why most people never change? Because they underestimate the power of small actions done consistently. They think greatness is about massive leaps, not realizing it's built on tiny steps taken over and over again. You don't have to do something huge every day. You just have to do something intentional, something that aligns with who you're becoming. And you have to keep doing it, especially when it's hard. That's where character's built. In the grind, in the discipline of routine, in showing up after a long day, in doing the work when motivation is gone. You don't need hype, you need habits. Because motivation fades, emotions fluctuate. But your habits, they hold you up when everything else falls apart. Every time you make a disciplined choice, you're carving a deeper groove in your identity. Every time you choose structure over chaos, effort over excuse, you're strengthening that new version of you. And over time, that version becomes real. You don't even have to think about it anymore, it's just who you are. The gym becomes automatic. The grind becomes normal. The hunger becomes part of your DNA. But the same is true in the other direction. If you keep feeding laziness, you become lazy. If you keep choosing comfort, you become soft. If you keep quitting, you become a quitter. Your brain learns what you teach it. Your body follows the instructions you give it. So if you want to change your life, change what you do. Repeatedly, relentlessly. There are no shortcuts to this. No hacks. No overnight transformation. It's work. It's repetition. It's falling in love with the process more than the outcome. Because when you focus on the process, the results take care of themselves. You don't chase the goal. You become the kind of person who naturally reaches it. You're building a legacy, one habit at a time. So ask yourself, what am I doing daily? What do my routines say about me? Are they building me up or breaking me down? You don't need to predict your future. Just watch your habits. They'll tell you everything you need to know. Because at the end of the day, your destiny isn't something you stumble into. It's something you build brick by brick, habit by habit. You become what you repeatedly do. So do the right things and do them until they become you. Growth doesn't happen in the crowd. It doesn't happen when you're constantly surrounded by noise, opinions, distractions, and expectations. Real growth, deep, uncomfortable identity shifting growth requires isolation. It requires you to step away from the world so you can finally hear yourself. And that's the part most people avoid. They think something is wrong when they feel alone, when people fall off, when they start pulling back. But in truth, that's the beginning of elevation. Isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's the cocoon phase before the wings, the silence before the sound, the solitude before the spotlight. It's where you find out who you are without the influence of others, where you face the truth of your own patterns, your own distractions, your own fears. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but that discomfort is the cost of self-discovery. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. You can't level up surrounded by people who are comfortable staying down. And you can't transform while constantly performing for others. That's why the journey to growth is often a lonely road. Because to go where you've never been, you have to leave behind who you've always been. And sometimes that means stepping away from everything familiar, friends, routines, conversations, even parts of your own identity. There's something powerful about the quiet. In isolation, there are no masks. There's no audience to impress, no feedback loop to chase. It's just you and the raw truth. And in that space, you start asking the hard questions. Who am I really? What do I want? What have I been avoiding? That's where growth begins, not with answers, but with honest questions. And those questions don't come in the noise, they come in the stillness. When you isolate, you stop chasing validation. You stop performing for people who don't even know who they are. You stop attaching your worth to how others respond to you. And in that freedom, you begin to build something solid, inner strength, self-respect, vision, discipline. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop being influenced and start becoming influential, starting with your own life. Look around. Every strong tree grew in silence before it ever stood tall. Every masterpiece was shaped in solitude. Every leader, every warrior, every visionary went through a season where they were misunderstood, unseen, and doubted. But they stayed in the lab. They stayed in the gym. They stayed in prayer, in thought, in work. They didn't need applause. They needed alignment. And when the time came, they stepped out, not looking for approval, but ready to lead. If you're in a season of isolation right now, don't fight it. Don't run from it. Embrace it. This is where the real work happens. This is where your roots grow deep. This is where your character is tested and built. Because what's the point of blowing up if you're not built up? What's the point of being seen if you don't know who you are when no one's watching? This isn't about cutting off the world forever. It's about retreating just long enough to come back stronger, to build your habits, to heal your wounds, to sharpen your vision, to train your mind. So when the world does call your name, you're not scrambling to figure out who you are. You already know, because you met yourself in the silence. You built yourself in the shadows. Growth requires isolation. Not forever, but for long enough to come out different. Not just improve, but transform. Not just louder, but clearer. And not just stronger, but unshakable. We live in a world that's obsessed with competition. Everybody's trying to outdo everybody, beat the next person, outshine, outpost, outwork, outperform. But the truth is, real growth doesn't come from trying to beat them. It comes from trying to beat you every single day. When you stop competing and start improving, everything changes. Because now it's not about proving yourself to the world. It's about becoming the best version of yourself for you. See, when your focus is on competition, you're playing someone else's game. You're reacting to their moves, not creating your own. You're watching their pace, not setting yours. And that's a trap, because no matter how far you go, there will always be someone ahead. Someone with more money, more followers, more recognition. And if you live in that comparison loop, you'll never feel enough, never feel satisfied. You'll always feel behind, no matter how much you've grown. But when you flip the switch and put the spotlight back on yourself, when you say, I don't care what they're doing, I care about who I'm becoming, now you're dangerous. Now you're locked in. Now you're running your own race. The only scoreboard that matters is, am I better than I was yesterday? That's the only person you need to be. The version of you from 24 hours ago. You don't get great by chasing someone else's greatness. You get great by locking into your own process, your own flaws, your own discipline. And when you're focused on improving, there's no wasted energy, no distractions, no jealousy, because your mission is clear. Build yourself, not beat them. Think about it. Competition makes you reactive. It keeps your eyes on them, but improvement makes you intentional. It puts the focus back on you. It forces you to ask better questions. Not, how can I catch up to them? But where can I grow today? Not, why are they winning, but what's holding me back? That shift in mindset is everything. You stop performing, you start progressing. You stop comparing. You start learning. You start chasing applause. You start chasing excellence. And here's the kicker. When you do that consistently, when you commit to your own growth with everything in you, you naturally rise. You naturally stand out. Not because you were trying to, but because greatness always shines when it's real. Most people never reach their potential because they're too busy measuring it against someone else's progress. But you can't measure your day one against their day 1,000. You don't know what they've sacrificed. You don't know what battles they fought, and it doesn't matter. Their story isn't yours. Stay in your lane, build your foundation, and let your progress speak for itself. This isn't about being soft. This is about being smart. Let everyone else waste time watching the competition. You stay in the gym, you stay in the lab, you stay in the grind, quietly, consistently, unshaken, every rep, every set, every page, every morning, you're getting sharper, stronger, clearer, not to outdo them, but to outgrow the old version of you. Because when it's all said and done, it's not about who you beat, it's about who you became. And the ones who rise the highest, they're not focused on competition. They're obsessed with improvement. They don't run from the work, they live in it. And that's the mindset that builds legacy. Not chasing trophies, but chasing transformation. Every day, relentlessly. You don't have to change the world to change your life. You just have to change you. Because when you change, your world changes. That's the truth most people overlook. They want better circumstances, better relationships, better opportunities, but they're showing up with the same mindset, the same habits, the same energy, and then they wonder why nothing shifts. You can't upgrade your life if you're operating with outdated thinking. You can't attract better if you're still moving like the old you. Everything starts on the inside. That's where the breakthrough begins. You want more peace? You have to stop entertaining chaos. You want more success? You have to stop making excuses. You want more discipline? Then stop making decisions based on emotion. See, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. If your life feels out of order, it's not always because of circumstances. It's because something inside of you is out of alignment. And once you adjust that, everything around you starts shifting with it. The reason change feels so hard is because we think we have to fix everything out there. But the power is in here. You don't need everybody else to get better. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need luck. You need a shift in how you think, how you speak, how you move. You can't think like a victim and expect victory. You can't carry fear and expect to walk into purpose. You can't walk in circles and expect progress. At some point, the internal change has to happen, or the external change never will. And the beautiful thing is, once you start changing, life starts responding differently. You start moving with clarity, and suddenly the confusion starts fading. You start honoring your time, and suddenly people start respecting your boundaries. You start speaking with confidence, and suddenly opportunities start finding you. Wow, because you showed the universe you're ready. Not just by what you said, but by who you became. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. That's why the inner work is the real work. That's why healing matters. That's why discipline matters. That's why getting honest with yourself matters. Because you can fake it online, but you can't fake your energy. And eventually, your reality always catches up with your identity. If you want to change your world, change your identity. Start becoming the kind of person who lives the life you're dreaming about. And here's the part nobody tells you. When you really start changing, some people won't understand. They'll say, you've switched up, that you're acting different. And you know what? You are acting different because the old version of you didn't get you here. The old habits, the old patterns, the old circles, they had to go. Elevation requires separation. You're not being rude. You're being responsible with your growth. Change is messy. It's not always pretty. It means breaking cycles. It means facing truths you've avoided. It means doing the work that no one claps for, but it's worth it. Because the moment you stop waiting for your world to change and you become the change, you take the power back. You stop being reactive. You start being intentional. You stop blaming. You start building. Your world is just a mirror. It reflects who you are. If you don't like what you see, don't fight the mirror. Fix the image. Do the inner work. Build the mindset. Develop the habits. Raise the standard. And watch how everything else lines up. When you change, your perspective changes. Your energy changes. Your decisions change. And when that happens, everything around you has no choice but to respond. That's not magic. That's alignment. That's power. That's growth.